Hi friends, and welcome back to MV Stories. Today we'll look at a few Reddit stories, and if you like them, you can like, comment, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos. Today's story comes from the the A-hole subreddit. It was posted by Apple Breadsticks and was titled, "Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help with house bills after my boyfriend's mother claimed ownership of my dog?" For context, my boyfriend, male 26, and I, female 28, had to move out of our apartment back in August 2025 due to financial reasons such as job loss, and we're planning on moving into and renting his parents' old house since they had just bought a new one. Come to find out 2 or so weeks before we're set to move, we were mostly packed by then. That change of plans, his parents were no longer together, and his father would be staying in the old house instead. Our options were either the basement of the old house or a room/basement of a new one. We chose the new house and moved in pretty quickly. As of today, we still only have access to one room for reasons I can explain later if anyone is interested, but it's not important right now. Back in October-ish, both of his parents sat us down and explained we needed to get jobs to help out. Now, originally his mother had said we could stay at her house and save up for a new place once we were back on our feet. No plan of how much we would contribute was ever discussed. It was all very vague and sounded more like they just wanted us to save up and move more quickly, if anything. This family has a habit of being extremely vague when discussing anything of importance. Boyfriend even has issues telling details of previous conversations when I ask because why is that important, or we didn't discuss that. I was able to pass a licensing test I had been studying for previously and landed a job interview for November 2025 at the local hospital for my profession. The decision-making process for said interview took a while, and I didn't end up starting work until mid-January 2026, but I've been working consistently since then and paying off debt as I go. Boyfriend was in the process of renewing his license, but needed to take a certain amount of hours of classes in order to do so, which he's been doing painfully slowly, self-paced classes. To this day, he still has not completed that task and remains unemployed. He has high amounts of stress and likes to relax by playing PC games, which I get because I too love PC games and we often game together, but he will play all day until I get home and then switch over to his classes, sometimes and more often only if I bring it up. Now, for what's happened most recently, his mother and I got into a confrontation over a dog that came to live with us in January shortly before I started working. Petra, the dog, almost immediately started clinging to me and would follow me everywhere. At a family dinner, his father and sister even acknowledged that she was basically my dog and had chosen me by how she never wanted to leave my lap. His mother worked most days then and wasn't home often, so I got a lot of quality time with the pup. She later lost her job due to health reasons and has been unable to start a new one yet. And since I am mostly working now, Petra spends the days with her in the living room until I come home. Petra sleeps with us at night as well, and her food and puppy pad is in our room. It has recently come to my attention that his mother was not using a leash when taking Petra outside to play. I brought this up to her and requested that she use one when she takes Petra outside. She took this as a personal attack on her skills in training dogs/intelligence. I tried to explain that I wasn't at all saying anything about her personally, just that accidents can happen and we live on a fairly busy road. Road in front of the house turns from highway to town, right in front. So speed limit is 55 miles per hour and then drops to 40 miles per hour somewhere in front of the house. She could not comprehend this and instead got heated and called me a child and that I wasn't going to say it, but she knew what I meant, etc. Somewhere during this, I asked her if Petra was her dog, as she was not listening to my wishes, and she responded vaguely that it was up to me whose dog she was, but wouldn't give me a straight answer. Boyfriend was there for the fight, but he hates confrontation, so he was trying to tell both of us to shut up essentially and move on. Eventually, I realized there was absolutely no convincing this woman that I wasn't attacking her personally and disengaged. We were on our way outside because boyfriend had spent the day making a fire pit with spare bricks from the yard for our 5-year anniversary that day, so we headed to the backyard. Obviously, I was a bit distressed and frustrated, so I took a seat by the pit and tried to calm down. I texted my mom because I needed someone to talk to about the situation that wasn't my boyfriend, because he is biased toward his family pretty hard and was already upset with me for starting a fight. I decided pretty quickly that I wanted away from the whole situation for a while. So I asked him if he could get my purse and jacket from the house, so I didn't have to go back in, and we could have a fire the next day since I had work that day, but would be off the next so we could stay up later for the fire. He agreed and came back out after a few minutes with my items, followed by his mother, who was still very angry and screaming that I couldn't take Petra anywhere in my car. I ignored her until she went inside and then got in my car with Petra and drove to my mom's to talk with her and vent. I brought Petra back later that night, maybe 2 hours later, and went to sleep. Got up for work the next day, as usual, and left Petra in our room, sleeping with boyfriend as usual. I recently set up cameras in the room, so I could check on Petra and boyfriend and the room in general, as our door has no lock. I get a notification from the camera during my workday that a person was detected and looked to see his mother opening our door and taking Petra from our room. Immediately, I'm furious at the invasion of privacy and call boyfriend to talk to his mom and put Petra back in a room with him. I get no update until hours later that he is out in the living room with them and everything is fine, his words. I can't do anything until I get off work, but when I got home, I immediately put my stuff in a room and then came back out and went straight for Petra on his mother's lap. She yelled at me and said I couldn't take Petra with me and put an arm around Petra to stop me from grabbing her. I went in any way to take her, and she pushed me down onto the floor and stood over me yelling. It escalated from there. I yelled at her about calling the police for assault if she ever touched me again and to never come into our room again. She yelled that Petra is her dog and goes where SHE says, and she has text messages showing where Petra was given to her specifically. Boyfriend has to physically put an arm between us and tries to calm us down, but he's not choosing a side and saying we were both in the wrong. Insults get thrown out on his mother's side. I never once insulted her or her character, and she threatens to call the cops to have me removed and that I need to get my shit out now, and boyfriend called her childish for some of the things she said. Petra is cowering behind her on the chair, so I start calling for her, and she comes, of course, but is immediately snatched away by his mother. We were at a standstill for a while. I wanted Petra with me, and she wanted Petra with her. Boyfriend told me to go to the room. His mother also said that, but more in the way of go to your room. She's female 44, by the way. But I said not without Petra, and he said he'd be in there later with her, and I told him she'd better be in the room by tonight and left. I texted my family because at this point, I'm convinced I've been kicked out and have nowhere to go and needed help. So I sent out an SOS to try to figure things out. 9/10 p.m. boyfriend comes in with Petra and explained that Petra has to spend the days with his mom and will come to the room to sleep with us at night. I'm obviously not happy, but I don't want to continue arguing, so we go to sleep. I'm off the next day, so I sleep in and block the door with something heavy, just in case. We wake up maybe around 1 p.m., and boyfriend says he got a text from his mom that Petra needed to be out of the room now. He pleads with me to just let her go out and that it wasn't my dog anyway, and it's her house, her rules, and that's the proper thing to do. I'm absolutely heartbroken at this point because he's siding with her and claiming I'm the problem in the situation. I try to show him how she's being petty and knows Petra means a lot to me and is weaponizing her to hurt me because she thinks I said something I didn't. Boyfriend will hear none of this, almost like he couldn't possibly think of his mother like that, and says we're both being ridiculous and Petra is not my dog, period, and to just let her go. I don't remember how he convinces me, but she leaves to go out in the living room with his mom, and I don't get her again until that night. The next 2 days proceeds in this way, but on one of them Petra came into the room during his mother's allotted time, and she screamed at boyfriend to get Petra out now, etc. I try to make him see reason that Petra wanted to be in here with me, but he didn't care, her house, her rules, and she's not my dog, so suck it up basically. That hurt deeply. He said I crossed a line trying to get Petra from his mom's lap. He was in the other room when it happened and didn't see, and she claimed she was defending herself. She was in no immediate danger as I was reaching for Petra and not her. That was about a week ago, and since then I have a tentative place to stay, but it hasn't been finalized yet. And there's also the issue of maybe getting Petra out of the house without his mother knowing when I move. I've come to realize at this point that she would have to formally evict me to get me out, and cops would tell her the same thing since I've been living here and get mail, established residency. I would like to get Petra microchipped, so she is definitively mine. I even had a vet appointment set up for her shots when shit hit the fan, but couldn't go because of boyfriend's mother going batshit anytime Petra is out of her sight. Things have escalated. Since boyfriend's mother isn't working, she hasn't been paying the bills, and right before the fight, boyfriend said she asked him if he could ask me to contribute to any of them for her. He told me this after the fact, and I told him after what she said/done that she's not seeing a dime from me. I took back all of my things from mutual areas, dishes, mop and bucket, as she didn't have one when we moved in, etc. Boyfriend said I'm trying to start fights and told me to drop it and let her do what she wants. I haven't spoken to her since that last fight, and I told him I would stand up for myself and the fact that Petra is my dog. I've also asked him over and over to talk to her if he wanted peace so bad, because she's the one perpetrating the situation by restricting Petra so harshly and disrespecting me. He claims he did talk to her, but it would take time, and I needed to give him time to work things out and settle everything back down, and then maybe after time she'll let me have Petra again. Forgot to mention, she claims Petra is hers until boyfriend and I find a place together, at which case Petra would move with us, but she was most definitely not my dog. Here's where I'm asking if I'm the a-hole. I get a text from boyfriend today asking if I can contribute anything, because everything is about to be shut off in a few days, and we were about to lose everything without help. He said his father was coming over today to talk with us all about what has been going on. I asked him what that meant, and he said about us not contributing to bills. I reminded him that I wouldn't be doing that after what had happened, and he kept pleading and begging and claiming he'd pay me back with what money, and that I need to pay for the amenities I use too. Also forgot to mention his father is finding out soon, like 2 days out soon if he has cancer or not, so that's why he can't help with the bills, because he has no money either right now. And of course it's been hard on boyfriend, because he's very close to his parents, and he's very sensitive to conflict of any kind. He claimed they weren't even mad about the dog thing, and it's really all about us not helping out, and asked me again if I could help. I told him I would absolutely not help, unless his mother stops with the restrictions and puts in writing that Petra is my dog. He told me to drop the dog thing, and to do this for him, and really it would be him paying, because he'd be paying me back, again, with what money. He claims I don't care about him or trust him, and that I don't get to make terms/conditions in this situation. He says that his dad had stormed off before I got home because they were having a screaming match and everyone was crying out in the front yard about the situation. Later discovered through boyfriend that they had said some pretty shitty things to him about him not working and are using him to get to me, essentially, like he needs to control me kind of thing. This was pried with much effort from boyfriend, and he still hasn't told me fully what happened/what was said during the fight. I am sticking to my no, and when I got home today, he was very moody and depressed. He hasn't spoken more than a few words to me and expects me to change my mind to fix everything for him/them. He said he's even considering if we will make it through this conflict, as in we are essentially breaking up if I don't pay the bills. He sees this as me fucking him and his family over and not caring what happens. I told him I wasn't going to be financially manipulated into paying anything. He's currently sleeping on the couch alone, has only come in to check on me to see if I've changed my mind. I haven't. So am I the a-hole here for not wanting to pay the bills after all of this? Sorry for the long post. Sorry if it's not concise or doesn't make sense. Just please let me know, because I'm losing my mind here and I feel like another crazy thing is going to happen tomorrow or something. I'm constantly in fight or flight mode, trying to think of how I can safely get all of my things out of this house, and also them not taking any of my things to sell or throw away. He already floated the idea of selling a lot of his things to help with bills, and I work all the time on top of this happening. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, "Everyone sucks here. This wall of text is full of red flags attached to every participant. The overriding one above all is, who goes to live with someone when they're out of options and goes out and gets a dog?" Opie replied, "Petra came to live with us while boyfriend's mom was still working. She was found in a dumpster behind a gas station, and boyfriend's sister brought her to live here with us. I don't know about the text saying she was given a boyfriend's mom, but that's what she's claiming. As far as I'm concerned, since she was rescued and not adopted, she can legally be my dog if I get her chipped and vaccinated. Proof of care and such. Commenter 2 says, then the sister is the dog's owner and gets to decide who she gifts Petra to. I really don't think you can claim Petra as yours specifically. Opie replied, what's funny is I'm my boyfriend's sister's maid of honor in her wedding next year. Well, maybe not now that all of this has happened. Regardless, she was one of the first to say Petra is my dog / she claimed me. I wasn't even a dog person before this, but she convinced me she's my dog. Unsure, haven't checked in with her yet. But legally, if Petra is microchipped to me and I have established care with vaccines / vet visits, she would be mine. I'm just unsure if I should go through with doing all of that. Commenter 3 says, yes, the a-hole for not getting the dog you've had since January chipped and vaccinated. You should have taken a sick day while the mom was working to handle that. If she was resisting giving the dog medical attention, it should at least have had a checkup after living in a dumpster. Take a long, hard look at how you handle responsibilities. You're living somewhere for free and you really couldn't take the dog to a vet? It's time to hand that dog over to a rescue. You're a bad pet owner. You're all weird and immature for putting that poor animal through all of this meaningless stress. On top of it all, you live there for free and refuse to contribute to bills? Pay some money for the utilities you use like an adult and go back to your family. Your boyfriend's family is falling apart and clearly none of you are mentally equipped to handle it. You all need therapy and that dog needs a new home. You're all a-holes. Opie replied, found in a dumpster doesn't mean she was living in one. She was healthy and clean and came pre-potty trained, so clearly taken care of. She has a green mark on her belly, showing she's been fixed previously, so I know she's been to a vet before. No one claimed her, so that's why we have her. Previous to all of this mess, I asked my boyfriend if there was anything I could help with and had talked to his mom about me helping, and if so, how much. This was a month or so ago. He never let me know an amount or that she even needed help with anything. Communication tends to go through him since I'm working different shifts and tend to miss her at home. I agree we all need therapy in my arrogant opinion. Thank you for your insight. Commenter 4 says, this family is a nightmare, and you should forget about the relationship with boyfriend as it's either realistically already ended or it absolutely needs to. But I don't think everything can be laid at their door when they're dealing with pronounced poverty and possibly increasing medical bills any day now. A cancer diagnosis would be another horror on top. Yes, Opie is probably correct about ending up on the hook for bills forever, but why not already contributing if living rent-free when the money troubles are obvious? But ultimately, it doesn't sound like the group is pulling together but is taking out their genuine stresses on one another. Opie, you should pay existing share of bills and then leave forever, without Petra, who is not your dog. Opie replied, it wasn't obvious though. Like I said, this family doesn't really discuss anything in detail. They hide a lot of what they're going through. Gatherings usually consist of sitting around a TV, eating a meal, and that's it. No talking unless it's about the weather or what they did that day. So I didn't know how bad it was with the bills. Last I'd heard, we were to live here rent-free in order to save for our own place. Them sitting us down in October was troubling, and I didn't fully understand why because they don't talk or discuss, just vague things I assumed meant by food or restock things as you use them, which I've been doing. Update. This was roughly a month ago. Since then, things have gotten worse. It had been really tense in the house. I would rarely come out of the room, and only if she had gone to bed for the night, so I didn't have to interact with her. I would also like to stress that getting Petra out of the house for any reason was extremely hard for me to do. I had to reschedule her vet appointment a few times because boyfriend's mom would be home unexpectedly or I wouldn't be able to leave work in time. I also would have to leave with her without boyfriend knowing, which was also impossible. As the days went on, she seemed to loosen her rules to where Petra was spending whole days with me, which was nice, but also kind of shows that she's really only mad at me for standing up for myself and going against what she wants me to do and not, because she really cared about Petra being hers. I set up cameras in our room to catch her when she comes in to take Petra while I'm at work, which she hadn't done in a while due to me getting home before she did. She started a new job. That was until this past Friday. Boyfriend was gone from Thursday through Sunday on a camping trip with a man of his family, so he wasn't home. She must have gotten let out of work early because I got a notification on the camera of a person in the room. She had let Petra out. Because of the no contact I had with her, I would avoid talking to her when I got home on my later shifts, and because boyfriend was the one who normally went and got Petra from her when she went to bed, this would mean she would most likely keep her for the weekend away from me. It's important to note that Petra has not once spent a night without me since we got her in January. Like I said, she is my dog. This infuriated me, obviously. When I got home that day, Petra greeted me at the door, not what I had expected. Usually boyfriend's mom would have Petra in her lap and not let her go to me. I swooped down, grabbed her, and left. Boyfriend's mom followed me once she realized and yelled that I would be arrested for theft, but I ignored her and drove to my mom's house. I don't know why this was the last straw for me, why this made me realize my living situation was unsafe for both me and Petra, but it was that night. I rented a U-Haul for the next day, rented a storage unit in town, and confirmed my two brothers and one of their friends would help me move. We definitely surprised her when we showed up. My first priority was my two cats I had left. Once I secured them, I want to walk out the door, but she stopped me and said I had better have everything needed because I wouldn't be let back in. I know my rights as a resident, so I knew legally that wouldn't fly. The plan was to call the police if she gave us pushback during the move. So I pulled out my phone to call the non-emergent police line for help mediating, and while I was on the phone with them, she backed down and said she wouldn't lock the door, but that I would only have today, Saturday, to get all of my things out. I hung up my call. It was still going over the automated menu when she caved and continued what I was doing. My brothers were busy loading up most of the boxes from when we had moved previously, kept in her garage, except for the ones that obviously contained my boyfriend's stuff. I boxed up the bedroom. We got it done in 4 hours, from U-Haul pickup to drop-off. I am now in a temporary living situation with all of my animals, Petra included. We are safe. I can walk to the kitchen and not have to worry about her being there. I can take my dog for walks and not worry if she would let me, or attack me, or yell at me. Nothing. I'm free. Petra has a vet appointment scheduled for my next day off, where she will be vaccinated, looked over, and microchipped. I am also registering her with the state. All legal ways to make sure she is once and for all my dog. Period. I am currently applying to every known pet-friendly apartment in town, and hoping one of them won't care. I've only been working for 3 months at my current job. I have money saved from refusing to give any to boyfriend or his mom. He asked me for money on my birthday, by the way. Who does that? Also, turns out boyfriend's dad can help with bills and has been helping with bills. So the situation wasn't as dire as they were making it seem, I guess. Boyfriend requested he be kept out of the situation when his mom messaged him frantically on Friday when I took Petra. I obliged, and he had no idea I had moved out until he got home Sunday. Relationship is currently tentative, possibly non-existent, but there's not been any closure yet, as he only wants to talk about me bringing Petra back. Not happening. Everything is really fresh, and I'm still pretty scared until I have Petra officially registered to me, so I might be dragging that on until everything is confirmed. His mother claims she took out a protective order against me, ironic, in a lawsuit and claimed I would be served by Monday. I still haven't seen anything to do with that, so I'm thinking she was bluffing or it got dropped due to lack of evidence. Or maybe they can't find me. Who knows? But if it is real, I'll file to get both dismissed. So that's it. I'm scared, but I'm out. I understand the consensus was everyone sucks here or not the a-hole. It was back and forth. You may not agree with how I handled things, but I'm just glad I'm out. And Petra is with me. Thank you for reading my novel of drama. Overall, with this update, am I the a-hole here? Relevant comments. Opie responds to a long thread regarding Petra not being leashed in a fenced yard. Opie says, not a fenced-in yard. Busy road started where the yard ended, mere feet from the house. There is no fencing anywhere around the house. She also has a pit bull that gets put on a chain steps away from the front door when she's taken outside. Boyfriend's mom treats her like garbage. When she was working, Stella, Pitbull, was locked in a crate all day. I tried taking her out a few times and even took her outside on a leash to run around for a few hours before Boyfriend's mom got home, but Stella was far too rowdy for me to control. Because she never gets freedom, I think. She goes crazy when she's given anything that's fun. When she did get home, she yelled at Stella. Yelled to where I could hear in the room. It was horrific. That poor dog. I wish I could have taken her too, but I'm not that crazy. Made being in that house 10 times worse when she was home as well, because she did nothing but yell at Stella and smack her with a fly swatter she claims not her hand. Stella was heavily restricted from doing anything a normal dog could and should do. Some days, she was only allowed to sit on an armchair and not move. When I did come out of the room with her home, rare, Stella would come up to me for pets, but the mom would scream at her like she had done something wrong. Didn't even give her a chance to do something wrong. That was before the fight, and when she still liked me. So it wasn't because Stella came up to me, but because she didn't want Stella to jump on me, which Stella would do because I don't discipline her for obvious reasons. Because of her treatment of Stella, I restricted Petra's time with his mother as much as I could. I couldn't trust her around Petra after what I've seen her do to Stella. That's why Petra was always in our room, typically with Boyfriend who doesn't move from his computer. This is also why I don't like his mother, among other things. She's a horrible person. This is also why I have no regrets taking Petra away from her in that situation. I argued with Boyfriend on multiple occasions to talk to his mother about her treatment of Stella, but he has no backbone. I didn't want to start a fight, so I didn't talk to his mother about it. Not that it would do anything anyway. She takes any criticism as personal attacks and starts dramatic fights over it. Opie on her relationship with her boyfriend and him taking his mother's side. Opie says, "To be honest, I felt the relationship die the moment he told me he was on his mother's side about all of this. I haven't officially ended it yet because of the legality issue needing to be resolved with Petra and the possible non-existent protective order. It's tough to throw away a 5-year relationship cold turkey. I still care for him, like I know he can be a good person. He was when I met him. He's just been through a lot to get to this point of apathy. I don't see a future with him. I want kids, and his mother would make that a nightmare. And I wouldn't be able to rely on him to defend me and our children. I'll keep y'all posted, though." Commenter 1 says, "Info. Who pays for the vet bills, pet food, and such?" Opie replied, "I pay for all dog food, treats, toys, puppy pads, etc. She came to the house the same month I started working, so I could handle those things. I paid for my food, my toiletries, etc., just not traditional bills like they wanted me to. Petra has a morning routine with me, as do all of my pets. They get treats in the morning when I'm leaving for work. She came puppy pad trained, so only went outside to run around mostly, but even then she didn't like being outside much. Wants to be carried always, very spoiled. She's a small dog. I was unable to get her to the vet while I was living in the house, as I have stated, but I'm taking her for vaccines and a checkup on my next off day. Appointment is already scheduled. She will get microchipped as well. The mother never cared for her until this drama happened. Never really cared where she was, who fed her, if she was fed, etc. Clearly doesn't care for her well-being if she took her outside without a leash on a busier road. Texts are between boyfriend's sister and mother. Sister picked up dog when no one claimed her on a Facebook page. Dog was found in locked dumpster area behind a gas station. Sister dumped her at mother's house essentially. Sister has lots and lots of animals of her own, but texts do not show established care like vet records do, like receipts for dog food/treats/toys do. I have hundreds of photos of us together, days of her spent with me, for proof. She's my dog. I didn't steal anything. Honestly, this has nothing to do with the dog. It's about you living in someone else's house without proper rules. The guy doing nothing and avoiding responsibility, and his mother just pressuring you and meddling in things that weren't her business. I think you went a bit overboard when you tried to assert your position within their home. But in reality, you simply put up with it for too long instead of leaving sooner. And the biggest question here is for the guy. He doesn't work, doesn't protect you, and ultimately tries to squeeze money out of you. That's not a normal relationship at all. So no, you weren't obligated to pay them after all this. This isn't helping the family anymore. It's manipulation. The best thing you did was just leave. Because the problem there isn't the dog, it's the people. The second short story is from Relationships subreddit. It was posted by Spinning Girl in Window and was titled, "I keep seeing girls spinning. Should I ask if okay or let sleeping horses lay?" Hi. So my apartment complex is set up so our units face each other with about a broomstick space apart. They come with blinds, but my cat ruined mine, so they hang apart so that half of the window is exposed. My neighbor always leaves her blinds pulled up. What is starting to concern me is that I often see her through the window spinning. I honestly can't imagine why a grown person would spin around in circles multiple times a day. I can't say exactly how long because I don't want to be creepy and stare through the window, but if I had to guess, I'd say she does it for 10 to 20 minutes at a time. I'm just really confused, and I tried Googling it, but I just got a bunch of links about vertigo. I guess I'm wondering if I should do anything or ask her if she is okay next time I see her outside. Or is it not my place? Relevant comments. Changer Offbit says, "I thought this was going to be about seeing a cute girl at the gym on a stationary bike. Maybe she's a dancer slash skater slash performer and is just trying to build up her resistance to, or how she reacts to or handles the vertigo. As long as there aren't any other symptoms that her well-being might be compromised, I'd probably leave it alone. That said, she's your neighbor, and she's not hiding the fact that she's doing this. She can probably see you too, so I don't think it would be that creepy to introduce yourself and ask her about it if she's comfortable talking with you." The Average Chameleon says, "This might be the strangest post I've seen in a while. Ask if you want to. Personally, I don't see the need to, but I also don't see it as an intrusive question if you're that curious. Update. I know this sub is usually for cheating and whatnot, and my post wasn't popular, but I thought I'd update anyway. Hope that's okay. Anyway, I saw the girl later when she was running with her dog. We both ended up finishing our runs near the same time. Inspired by the comments that told me there was no harm in asking, I mentioned that we lived in neighboring units, and she already recognized me. So I asked what was up with the spinning, and she told me she was playing with her dog. I later learned this was called a flirt pole, and it is essentially a large dangly cat toy. Her dog is very high energy, so it comes in handy. So she was spinning in circles so the dog could chase due to the small inside her apartment. I also ended up and asked her out, and it went really great. We've hung out a couple times since. We seem to have a lot in common, and I like her a lot more than the other girls I've been seeing. So I hope things work out. Thanks again, everyone, even though this isn't a super interesting post." Final comments. Fancy Freak says, "That was a literal flirt pole." Martha Marple says, "This is the best update I've ever read." Raisin Annette says, "Hey, this girl is doing something really weird for hours a day. I'm concerned." Update. She plays with her dog. It's cool. We're dating. Wondrous Fairy says, "This sub is for any and all posts relating to relationships. So to be honest, as one of the older posters in here, I get really happy whenever I see a post that doesn't involve someone being an ass or cheating or doing something completely up the walls crazy. Congrats on your new friend." It's just a classic case of getting worked up out of nowhere. The guy saw something strange, didn't understand the context, and his brain immediately started conjuring up all sorts of weird scenarios. Although in reality, everything turned out to be incredibly simple and even charming. In fact, he behaved normally. He didn't make accusations, didn't jump to conclusions, but simply asked politely. And in the end, he not only sorted things out, but also met the girl. This is a good example of how sometimes it's better not to assume others' opinions, but simply ask in a normal, human way. At worst, it will be awkward. At best, there's an unexpected happy ending. Good luck.